How y'all doing today? My name is Talbot Smalls, representing the Charleston Chronicle here at the North Charleston MLK Parade for the first time today. It's great to be here. It's great to see all the families and kids out.
A day like today, I think with the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, is something that we should celebrate every day. I think we should celebrate unity every day, not just once a year. Unity circle, communities coming together, where we would join hands, not even just today, but that communities like Liberty Park and Liberty Hill and the Hike and the Whaling, that we would come together as one. There's no way in the world, if we gather together in unity, that we would still see homelessness. When we gather together as one, every community coming together, there'll be food on everybody's table. When we come together as one, you'll be surprised on what we could do. Not just African Americans, but all race, creed, and color. When we all come together like we did today. Can I get a witness again? The simple reason is because we love our officers, we love our police officers, we love the city that we live in, but who better can bring it together than we ourselves? I think that when we do it, it works out even better. When we patrol our own streets at night, get flashlights like Henry Darby and those guys used to do, things will work out a whole lot better. So once again, I'm glad to see all of you. Did you think we had a great parade, our first? I think you need to give yourselves a hand. And let me say this, I think Derek is around and the committee members are around. You probably, some of the young folks, this would be history for you. You probably won't even believe it, but there was a time where we weren't even allowed to come to this park. You don't have to say nothing. And if we came over here like Derek ran from over here many nights to head back towards Liberty Hill. But aren't we glad that we as a people, any place our foot desires to go, we are able to go. And we're able to go day, night, and young people, you need to take advantage of that. It's time out for us to stop giving so much trouble in school. Time out. If your mom and your daddy bought pants for you, pull them doggone pants up.
Yes.
If you're not gonna pull them up, take them off.
Yes.
So mom and dad can save some money on those pants and things like that. Young ladies, you're here for more than a garden tool. You are precious jewels, and we honor you today. And to everybody that's here, look how precious this is. We want to be able to do a circle the day we've accomplished that. Next year we're gonna be around the whole park circle. Look how good God is. That we're able to join hands in the spirit of Dr. King in our own city of North Charleston, where folks said it could not be done. 40 years later, we're still standing. And sometimes it takes that long to get it right. And so a lady told me the other day, said, well, I heard you made the remark about 40 years. Well, it's going to take you a few more years, because this is just your first. And I honor that. So once again, thank you. I'm Sam Dennis, chairperson for this committee. And lastly, I could never do this without a wonderful committee. I want you to give them a hand. And please give the Honorable Mayor of our city, Keith Summey, give him a round of applause for embracing us. Lieutenant Roper, are you, Lieutenant Roper? Wave your hand. Let's give him a hand. North Charleston finest. You see what happened when we can come together? If you were to ask the person next to you what neighborhood you're from, I guarantee you we'll come up with about 25 or 30 different neighborhoods. I'm glad the news media is here today to see us all coming together. Amen. Amen. I think you need to give yourselves a hand again. We've got a few more speakers. I want you to keep it right where you got it. Don't leave us, okay?
Many years ago in Memphis, Tennessee, somebody said, here comes that dreamer. Let us kill him and see what happens to his dream. Here we are now, 2013. The question is begging us, what has happened to the dream of Martin Luther King Jr.? One of our problems is many of you don't know Dr. King. He has been changed so much over the last several years, he does not resemble who he was. They made him to a safe person, a nice person, somebody everybody loves. No one kills somebody everybody loves. You must have made somebody mad somewhere along the way, because he stood up for justice, stood up against for what was right, against the power, and because he had the nerve to speak out against the power, they killed him. You need to know that so you don't get deluded into believing that he was all about just I have a dream. We have folk who memorize the speech. They give it every year around this time. I am here now because this is the beginning of the season of blackness. The season of blackness started on the 15th of January. And from the 15th of January until the end of February, black folk all over America are going to be black for 45 days. But come March the 1st, they're going to want to be anything except black. But for 45 days, black is good. Black is beautiful. Black is proud. Black wears a kente cloth and black has a kufi. And black is going to say, I'm black and I'm proud. But come March the 1st, I hope and I pray that you'll be black 24/7, 365, 366 on leap year. You ought to be proud of who you are, not just in the season of blackness, but all year long. If you believed in the dream, that you won't wait until January to recognize your heritage and who you're from. One of the dangers we have is we now only study back to slavery. Slavery was not our heritage. Slavery interrupted our heritage. We don't come out of slavery. We were free, and then we went into slavery and came out free again. Don't teach your children just to celebrate being freed slaves. We were free before we became slaves. We went through slavery and became free again through the hand of God. Dr. King, I give you three things I ask you about him. Do you know him? Do you know he was born in Atlanta on high noon on the 15th day of January 1929? His name was Michael. His daddy's name was Michael. His name was Michael King. He and his father went to Germany and encountered the work of Martin Luther, and they changed their name officially to Martin Luther King Sr. and Martin Luther King Jr. He graduated from high school at the age of 15. He was enrolled at Morehouse College at 15. He was brilliant, but when he got there, he found he was a better speaker than he was a reader. And because of that, he almost failed at Morehouse in his freshman year. And a man named Benjamin Elijah Mays poured into his spirit and told him, Martin, you can do it. Martin, you will do it. Don't give up, Martin. And because somebody poured into his spirit, he was able to become the one now that has a monument on the Capitol. Yeah. Think about what you would do for young people if you would stop speaking death to their spirit. Stop speaking death to their future. Instead of saying what they can't do, tell them what they can do. They can do it. Why can't they do it? Everything has been done. The price has been paid. What is left for them to do but live out the dream? Let me ask you the question. What is the status of Dr. King's dream? Do you know who he was and that he was more than a dreamer? He was a prophet. They don't kill dreamers. If all you do is dream, nobody's going to care, because your dream can't hurt anybody. Your dream can't free anybody. Your dream cannot make a difference. The question is, what do you do after you wake up from your dream? Do you take action? And do you go into action? Dr. King went into action. Why did they kill him? Among many reasons, because he had the lone courage to speak out against the war in Vietnam. He had the lone courage to speak for justice when it came to the economy. He was in the midst of planning a poor people's march all the way to Washington, D.C. to lift up the question we're dealing with right now. How is it that the rich keep it all and the poor have to make it the best way they can? How can the richest country in the world still have poor people? How can the richest country in the world still have hungry people? How can the richest country in the world still have all of the maladies that affect us even right now? That's why they killed it, because he raised the fundamental question of Jesus the Christ. How do you treat the people on the outside? How do you treat the people that no one likes? How do you treat the folk that look different than you? That is why they killed King. He was more than a dreamer. He was a prophet. And prophets have to understand that prophecy has two requirements: to speak truth to the future and speak truth to power. Dr. King spoke truth to power, and then they killed him because he said, it is now time to do justice. The second thing about Dr. King, he had more than a dream. The question for you is, do you have more than a dream on his birthday? More than a dream on his holiday? Has anybody been to Washington yet to see the monument? I promise you, Dr. King never once thought, when he was living out his life, that there would ever be a monument with his likeness on the mall at Washington, D.C., dedicated to him. The first African-American to have a national statue. The first African-American, who better than a Baptist preacher from Georgia, to have the first statue. But what does the statue mean? That he was more than a dream. You can be more than a dream. I want you to understand that Dr. King did not let his present crisis cloud his bright future. So many of our young folk are caught up in trying to be just like each other, as opposed to being like the King who died so that we could have this opportunity. Why don't you talk to your young folk? Why don't you tell the young brothers they don't have to walk around trying to be gangsters, trying to be killers, trying to impress somebody, that the future is bright. If you would teach our boys just three things. One, that to be a man you must first treat your women right. To be a man you must treat your children right. To be a man you must go back to the community where you came from. Doesn't matter how much bling you got, doesn't matter how much change you wear, doesn't matter how well you rap. If you don't treat your women right, you don't take care of your children, and you don't go back to your community, you ain't nothing but a rich, tall boy. Because the truth of the matter is, we need our boys to be taught how to be men. And the way to teach them how to be men is to let them see a man.
It's my great pleasure to be here today. I lifted up from the book of Genesis, the 37th chapter, where Joseph was hated on by his brothers, and they said, let us kill him. Let's kill the dreamer and see what happens to his dream. And I tried to give the status of the King's dream, what Dr. King's dream is. First, by establishing he was more than a dreamer, he was a prophet. And because of his prophetic preaching and action and work is what killed him. They killed him because of his action, not just because of his words. And then the second part I tried to make plain was that what is the status of the dream? Where's the dream now? The dream has to have action. It's not enough to dream dreams, but you must do work. And I didn't get a chance to get to this. Is what happens when you're in the promised land. If the Lord made the promise and you get to the land that he promised, then what do you do in the promised land? And the challenge is our women need to be proud of who they are. Don't try to keep changing to look so much and look like somebody else. The Lord made you beautiful the first time. The Lord didn't make a mistake. First woman that the Lord ever made was a black woman. Eve had to be a black woman because she was in the Fertile Crescent. She's in the birthplace of mankind. And so if you come from the original, everything else is a copy. And the original is always better than the copy. I challenge our boys to seek excellence, but don't accept B work when you can do A work. Don't accept C work when you can do B work. And the challenge is to live out the dream. How do you live the dream? By doing what you can on your watch. Dr. King did what he could on his watch. His watch is over. Now it's your watch. What are you going to do with your time? And that's, in summary, what the challenge is. I'm excited that people recognize his dream, but they need to know that the dream only lives if you do the work.
From the North Charleston Martin Luther King Celebration Committee, I'm Sam Dennis, where one committee member is no greater than the other. We've experienced a 3-day celebration. God has given us grace and good weather. And it's been by his faith that we have been redeemed. And the only thing we can say through this experience of Dr. Martin Luther King and living the dream and his legacy is that this is our deliverance. We owe this to our community. A lot of us have moved from the community and moved other parts. And now we're reaching back to the places where we were born and reared to make sure that we bring others up the way we have come, through our social network, through our education, and by the means of the gospel. Once again,
thank you so much, and may the Lord God richly bless your life.